Clippers dropped their fifth straight game tonight, 105-102 to the Atlanta Hawks. True Dome Inglewood. The loss drops LA to 3-7 overall, continuing a rough start to the season. Clippers kept it close, but Atlanta pulled away into a dominant second quarter, where the Hawks outscored LA 33-23, seeing the double for the rest of the game. Despite LA's efforts to rally in the second half, they overcome the deficit. Key performers for the Clippers, it was James Harden, 35 points on 12 of 23, shooting with 5 of 6 from the free throw line, keeping LA competitive throughout. Kerchak was the player of the game for the Hawks, 28 points, hitting 9 of 13 from the field and contributing 9 rebounds, leading the Hawks on both games. Team stat highlights, field goal percentages, Atlanta led the way, 45.2 to 43.9. Three-point percentage, 38.2, 31.6 in favor of Atlanta. Rebounds, Clippers had 11 offensive boards. It was the only stat they led it. Assists, Atlanta 30, Clippers 19. Fast break points, Atlanta 20. Clippers only had 4. LA struggled to generate momentum and transition, along with Atlanta with turnovers and points. And 19 assists highlighted lack of ball movement compared to the Hawks' 30. The Clippers remain in search of consistency as they try to turn around a season that has been rocky from the start. They'll need sharper execution and stronger defensive stops if they hope to stay Again, welcome to the Ryder Report. My name is Ryder Bullock, and you are with us. Let's take you around the league, and we'll start with the other team in LA, and that is the Lakers. They took on the Hornets. And the Lakers won at 121-111. Luka Doncic poured in 38 points, while Rui Hachimura sparked the third quarter with 13 of his 21 points, as the Lakers surged past the Hornets in the second half for their 6th win in 7 games. Austin Reeves had 24 points, helping Los Angeles outscore Charlotte 31-15 in the third to break open a tight game. Doncic dazzled with 5 3-pointers, slick passes, and a highlight two-handed dunk that energized the crowd. For Charlotte, Miles Bridges led with 34 points and 7 threes, while Con Knuppel nearly posted a triple-double, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, as the team continued to struggle without LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. The Hornets pulled within 8 late, but Donic's three-point play and Marcus Smart's dagger 3 sealed the win. Next up, Lakers visit the Thunder on Wednesday in Oklahoma City. Hornets host the Bucks Wednesday night. Pistons taking on the Wizards. Pistons won at 137-135 in overtime. Cade Cunningham delivered a historic performance, posting 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, and 5 steals and 2 blocks to lead the Pistons past the Wizards in overtime. Cunningham became the first player ever to reach all of his marks in a single game since steals and blocks were first tracked in 1973. Despite shooting 14 for 45 from the field, the most attempts in the NBA this season. Cunningham willed Detroit to its 7th straight win and a 9-2 record atop the East. Dennis Jenkins forced overtime with a clutch corner 3 and finished with 24 points, while Jalen Duren added 19 points and 14 rebounds. Duncan Robinson's three-pointer in overtime put Detroit ahead for good. For Washington, C.J. McCollum scored 42 points, but missed twice late in overtime as the Wizards dropped their 9th straight to fall 1-10. Cam Whitmore added 20 points, and Alex Sarr had 15 points and 15 rebounds. Next up, Wizards visit the Rockets on Wednesday. Pistons host the Bulls Wednesday, Game 2 of their 4-game homestand. Desmond Bane hit a three-pointer at the buzzer to give the Orlando Magic a 115-112 win over the Portland Trail Blazers. Bane's basket from 27 feet capped a wild finish in which the Trailblazers overcame a 9-point deficit, only to see their comeback nullified as the buzzer sounded. Paolo Banchero led the Magic with 28 points and 9 rebounds. Bane finished with 22 points and 7 assists. Shadon Sharp scored 31 points for Portland. Aveja added 27 points, including a couple of three-pointers during an 11-0 Portland run in the final 2 minutes. Jeremiah Grant scored on an inbound pass from Camera and added a free throw with 10.6 seconds left to put Portland ahead 112-110. Banchero, who had missed 2 free throws before Grant's three-point play, drove for a game-tying layup and drew a foul. He missed another free throw, leaving the game tied with 5 seconds remaining. But Banchero stole Portland's inbound pass with 1.9 seconds left, setting the stage for Bain's winner. France Wagner and Wendell Carter Jr. had 19 points and 9 rebounds each for Orlando. Neither team had a double-digit lead until Orlando's Jet Howard hit a three-pointer to make it 87-75 in the final seconds of the third quarter. Portland, playing the second game of a 5-game trip, got it back 102-100 on a couple of free throws by Aveja with 4:46 left. The Trailblazers' only lead of the second half came on Grant's play with 10.6 seconds remaining. Bain's game-winning shot was his only successful three-pointer on 6 attempts, and the Magic shot only 8 for 30 from distance. Playing their third game in 4 nights, the Magic were without guard Jalen Suggs due to a knee injury. Up next, Trailblazers at New Orleans on Wednesday night. Magic at New York Knicks on Wednesday night. Heat taking on the Cavaliers. Heat needed overtime, but they win at 140-138. Andrew Wiggins slammed home an alley-oop dunk at the buzzer in overtime to lift the Miami Heat over the Cleveland Cavaliers in a wild back-and-forth thriller. Norman Powell led Miami with 33 points. Jamie Jaquez Jr. added 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists off the bench, and Ware posted 14 points and 20 rebounds. Wiggins contributed 23 points, including the game winner off a Nikola Jovic assist. For Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell had 28 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists, including a clutch three-pointer to tie the game with 0.4 seconds left in overtime. DeAndre Hunter scored 23, and Evan Mobley added 21 points and 10 rebounds. Cleveland attempted 65 three-pointers, making 21, extending their NBA record streak of 98 consecutive regular season games with at least 10 made threes. Miami, missing Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, improved to 5-0 at home, joining the 2012, 2013, and 2019-2020 teams with that start. Cleveland also lost Darius Garland to a toe injury, and coach Kenny Atkinson was ejected late in the third quarter. Next up, Cavaliers visit Miami on Wednesday for a rematch. Spurs 121, Bulls 117. Victor Wembanyama exploded for 38 points, including 18 in the fourth quarter, along with 12 rebounds and 5 blocks, leading the San Antonio Spurs to a comeback 121-117 win over the Chicago Bulls. Their first win in Chicago since March 17, 2021. Wembanyama made 6 three-pointers and became the first player in NBA history with at least 35 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 three-pointers in a single game. De'Aaron Fox added 21 points, Stephon Castle had 19 points and 11 assists, and Luke Cornett scored 16 for San Antonio. The Spurs overcame a 104-91 deficit with a late 10-0 run, hitting key threes and free throws down the stretch. For Chicago, Kevin Huerter stepped up for the injured Josh Giddey and scored 23 points, while Ayo Dosunmu and Trey Jones each had 20. Jalen Smith added a double-double with 11 points and 12 rebounds. The Bulls shot 28% in the fourth quarter, compared to the Spurs' 43.5%, allowing San Antonio to close the game. Next up, Spurs host the Golden State Warriors Wednesday in the first of 2 home games against the Warriors. Bulls visit Detroit Wednesday night. Bucks taking on the Mavericks. Bucks won at 116-114. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 30 points, including 15 in the fourth quarter, as the Milwaukee Bucks overcame a 13-point deficit to edge the Dallas Mavericks. Ryan Rollins hit a go-ahead driving layup with 17.9 seconds left, and Kyle Kuzma added a season-high 26 points off the bench, finishing with a dunk after a key steal. For Dallas, Cooper Flagg, the number 1 draft pick, led the team with 26 points, and Brandon Williams added 19 points in his first start. P.J. Washington Jr. had a chance to tie late but missed critical free throws, and a Mavericks crowd reacted with a Fire Nico chant aimed at general manager Nico Harrison. Milwaukee rallied despite Antetokounmpo taking only 4 first-half shots. He finished 18 field goal attempts with 1 three-pointer. The Mavericks were missing Anthony Davis, a strained left calf, and Derek Lively II, a right knee sprain. Next up, Bucks visit Charlotte Wednesday for the first of 2 games against the Hornets. Mavericks host the Phoenix Wednesday night. Suns taking on the Pelicans. Suns won at 121-98. Grayson Allen set a franchise record 10 three-pointers and scored a career-high 42 points to lead the Phoenix Suns past the New Orleans Pelicans. Allen shot 12 for 17 overall and 10 for 15 from beyond the arc, going 5 for 5 in the third quarter for 17 points. Devin Booker added 19 points and Dylan Brooks contributed 18 as Phoenix won their third straight game, improving to 6-5, above 500 for the first time this season. For New Orleans, Trey Murphy III had 21 points and 10 rebounds, while rookie Jeremiah Fears and Bay each scored 15. The Pelicans fell to 2-8, losing their second straight game after winning their first of their two this season. The Suns built a 64-41 halftime lead, fueled by a 9 for 13 performance from three-point range in the second quarter and led by as many as 32 in the second half. Phoenix used 14 players with 13 scoring. Next up, Pelicans host Portland Wednesday. Suns visit Dallas on Wednesday. That is what happened today in the NBA. We move on now to the NFL, and there's only one thing to do, and that is to start the music, and I will talk really, really fast. So let's get into it. Week 10 of the NFL. The Colts it's go time. Jones to Jones. Jonathan Taylor slipped it through the defense. As Antonio Jones tried to go yards, but the Bears had a full drive. That week 10 is now in the books, and we're going to make sense of it the only way that we know how, and that is to bring in the host of the Wise Guy Show on YouTube, Albert Lanier. Albert, week 10 of the NFL. Thank you for joining us. Make it make sense.
That's right. Well, I was saying on the Wise Guy Show, which is my show on YouTube. People can catch it there on the Ryder Albert Lanier channel at Ryder Albert Lanier 3434. But I was saying that there is a kind of, sometimes that there are themes of the weeks, of the NFL weeks. I think one of the week's themes was comeback. You saw that with the game between the Texans and the Jaguars. The Jaguars had this game pretty much in hand. And in fact, they had 2 turnovers early on, 1 on a return. And then the Texans came back with a backup quarterback, with Mills, backup quarterback. And I have to be honest, the Texans looked better offensively with Mills as their backup than they have with C.J. Stroud as the QB1. This actually is one of the best games I think I've seen the Texans play offensively. And they came back to win this game. The defense was also a big factor in this game. But they came back to win this game and made a comeback in this game. The other comeback, another comeback worth noting, was that of the Bears and the Giants. I said this before, and I'll say it again. The Chicago Bears, the luckiest team in the NFL this year. Look at the games that they should have lost.
Right.
You look at the game against, I'd say the game against the Raiders, where they blocked a field goal attempt. Game against Commanders, where they got a fumble. And, of course, the Bengals, I could talk ad nauseum about that game, a 50-plus yard touchdown for the win with less than 20 seconds on the clock in the game to go. And this game is another one. But the Bears were aided by the Giants, who collapsed. Just like the Jaguars. Said this one was more spectacular. Not only did you had a descending order of disastrous plays. You had Russell Wilson, who came in because Jackson Dart would play for at least a couple of quarters, not more. Had to leave again. Possible injuries, big possible concussion. Don't quote me on that. And not only he got sacked, they had a kick that was horrendous. Only 26 yards, I believe. It was over 20 yards. It didn't go farther enough. So the field positioning for the Bears was good. And the Bears were able to come back down by 10, at least later in the game, and win this game. So the Chicago Bears had a comeback. The Texans had a comeback. Bears continue to be the luckiest team in the NFL. But comebacks were one theme, I believe. The other theme, I believe, were blowouts.
Yeah.
Or lopsided victories.
Yeah.
You look at the Rams game, they scored like 3 touchdowns in the first half. And the 49ers were overwhelmed. The 49ers played a good game. And this is a team that has a good record this year. They've so far been able to play with injuries to the major playmakers. But they were too much. The Rams were too much for the 49ers. They just overwhelmed the 49ers. And they scored like 3 touchdowns in the first half alone.
Yeah.
And then you had the Seahawks, who scored 35 points in the first half. Let that sink in, folks.
Yeah.
35 points in the first half. I call the Seahawks one of the hidden gems of the NFL right now. I don't know if they're going to be hidden for long. I said before, the Seahawks are a tough out, just like the Rams are. If the Seahawks make it to the playoffs, not as a division winner, but as a wild card, I'm going to quote Count Floyd. I think it's Count Floyd from SCTV. Ooh, scary. This Seahawks team is scary.
Yeah.
And the NFC looks great this year.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of these teams. It is sad. I'd love some of these teams to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Rams, I wouldn't mind seeing them in the Super Bowl. The Seahawks, I wouldn't mind seeing them in the Super Bowl. I'm not into the 49ers, actually. I don't think they're going to make it, but, if they get some more people back, they could possibly do something.
Yeah.
The NFC looks great this year. It really does. Some of these teams in the NFC are fantastic. The Seahawks are as good as any team in the NFL. Rams also. And it's understandable. But when they got Devontae Adams, man, that whiteout core is phenomenal. So the themes I would say of this week: stacked blowout games in terms of scoring, with some of these teams winning big, and then comebacks of teams coming back to win games.
Gotcha. Okay, that's the theme. Okay, perfect. We're going to start with some breaking news. The New York Football Giants have fired head coach Brian Daboll. What's next for the New York Football Giants?
Well, I think getting through this season. I mean, you look at some of these games, I think they cut them a little slack after that horrendous loss to the Broncos. But when you have two horrendous losses like that, and let's be honest, that Bears game, the Bears-Giants game, was a horrendous loss, even though it was a 10-point lead.
Yeah.
It's a smaller lead than the lead they had, which I think was 15 at one point against the Broncos earlier this year. Yeah. Man, you got to win games like that. You can't lose games like that. And, I mean, they should have asked the Bengals about losing a game to the Bears. I don't think they did.
No.
But, of course, Dable now will have all the time in the world to talk to somebody on the Bengals about why they lost or how they lost that game. At this point, it's getting through the season. I don't know what's going to happen with Jackson Dart. This guy's getting banged up already. He's talented. He's good. I don't think he's going to last the season, even if he comes back. No. He's probably going to get injured again.
Scatterboo, too. Cam Scatterboo, too, taken.
They lost Willie Gamers. They lost the best players. And they did all right in this game despite not having their best players. Some of the players made some good catches. But the reality is that the Giants, they're not going anywhere this year anyway. Yeah. So they just have to live through the season and think about, if nothing bad happens to Dart this year, think about building a team around Jackson Dart, because they now can see he's got some of the goods. And so they got to get that offense working. More importantly, you got to get that defense working. Yeah. The Giants, the best they can do is just play the games that they're contracted to play at this point. That's about it. And start getting ready for next year.
Was it the right move for them to part ways?
With Dable?
Yeah.
Some people would argue, I know there are those that argue they should have fired him already. He was on life support for quite a while. But when you have a horrendous loss, I think the quality of the loss, you look at that loss, the Denver loss was horrendous. Yeah. That was just bad. He probably should have been fired after that. But again, they probably cut him a little slack. And they probably got to the point where they said, we can't keep this guy anymore. The quality of the loss, I don't know if that factored into it. You have to look at what else is happening behind the scenes. So it really depends on what's happening behind the scenes. That's always the factor. It's always what's going on within the organization. And you probably had people within the organization that were calling for his head for quite a while. Yeah. And it got to the point where they said, all right, you can have his head on a platter now.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk about some other games. Most people I've spoken with called this a big one for the Chargers. A statement win, at least on the surface, but when you look a little closer, it feels more complicated. If Los Angeles were facing this version of Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers every week, they'd have it easy. Justin Herbert was sacked 5 times, pressured a dozen more, and truthfully, it was Rodgers' inaccuracy and his receivers' miscues that kept the Chargers from being in real trouble. So let me ask you this. does this victory truly move the needle for LA, or are we seeing a talented team that can beat up on struggling opponents but hasn't yet proved it can go toe-to-toe with the league's elite?
Well, they lost to the Colts. What you have to understand is the Chargers got destroyed by the Colts.
Yeah.
And they had a great game against the Vikings. I mean, this game against the Steelers, as successful of an effort as it was for the Chargers, you look at that game with the Vikings, they were like an offensive machine in that game. Here, they really got stymied at times by, even though they scored, they weren't really able to score probably as much as they probably wanted to, because the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers were getting some penetration, getting sacks, and some stops early on in this game. The thing about the Steelers, in terms of struggling, they're not really struggling in the way that, for example, the Chiefs were, or the Ravens were, or some of these other teams are.
Right.
They're dropping games, and some of these games are tough. I mean, the reality is, it's not a surprise that the Steelers lost to the Chargers, because this is a tough run for them. Face the Colts, they face the Chargers. They're going to lose to at least a couple of these teams.
Yeah.
What I think was an issue for the Steelers is the offense.
Right.
Because Aaron Rodgers has had a good year, and he did have a good game.
Yeah.
And the receivers didn't look good at all in this game, which is a little bit of a surprise. Normally, they're able to get receptions and head down the field. And in this game, you had at least one of Rodgers' 2 interceptions, bounced off the hands, or at least part of, the front of the hands of a Steeler receiver and into the hands of a Charger defender. So, and you also have to look at the fact that Aaron himself, if you look at that safety, as soon as he saw, I don't know, it was Khalil Mack coming after him, as soon as Rodgers saw that, he backed at him, which is why he went into the end zone. You got to understand, this is a guy with a bad hamstring injury, which he came back from. Guys who normally get hamstring injuries like that don't always return. So he had a bad hamstring injury. And so that guy now Rodgers has to play conservative. And he just went, he had to be careful, right? Yeah. He's getting older, had a bad injury, which he came back from, and now he's got to figure that out. I said protection was important in regards to Aaron Rodgers early on in the season. And, again, offensive line, you got to keep a guy like that. You got to keep enough clean pockets for this guy, So the Steelers have been successful, but they've also dropped some games. And so the reality is that the defense had a good game, relatively, but the general had a good game. The offense had a bad one. The Chargers, right now, they're in a position where they have to win because they got to keep up. The Steelers don't need to win to keep up with anybody. That's what you also got to keep in mind. The Chargers have to win to keep up with the Broncos. The Broncos are winning games. The Chargers have got to win games. They can't afford to be lackadaisical. The Steelers can't afford to be lackadaisical because, which is the way it's pronounced. And again,
that's right. Yeah.
Lackadaisical. Yeah. The Steelers can be lackadaisical because the only team that possibly they've got to deal with is possibly the Ravens, who again won this week.
Yeah.
And even then, it's with the Steelers, they're not in a position where it's one thing when you're on the top looking down. All you have to do is get a victory here and a victory there. So what the Steelers have to do is cobble together some victories. The Chargers have to win games. They got to win. They're in a position, even with a good record, they got to win. They got to win. Because they're not at the top of that division. I believe it's Denver is the top of that division. And they've got to keep winning
Yeah.
Got to keep winning. So you have to factor that in with teams that play. Do they really need to win? And if they do, then the level of preparation gets better. Or are they in a position where, yeah, they always want to win, but if they lose, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
So with the Chargers are good, and I think they're showing that they are a good team.
Okay.
I think they showed that when they ran over the Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an impressive victory. This is a good victory for them, but not an impressive one.
Okay. I want to shift gears to Detroit and Jamar Gibbs specifically. He reminded everyone why he's one of the most dynamic young playmakers in the league. With his 41st career touchdown, he joins the legendary Barry Sanders as the only players in Lions history to reach 40 touchdowns within their first three seasons. Sanders had 47 from 89 to 91. So Gibbs isn't just keeping good company, he's chasing greatness. And on Sunday, he did it in style, scoring both on the ground and through the air for the fourth time in his career, something only Sanders has done more often. Not bad for a guy coming off a rough Week 9, where he managed just 28 scrimmages and yards on limited touchdowns. So, Albert, let me put it to you this way. Is Gibbs now the centerpiece of this Lions offense in a way that even eclipses Jared Goff's leadership under center? Or are we maybe getting ahead of ourselves and drawing too close of a parallel between Gibbs and the great Barry Sanders?
Well, what I noticed with the Lions is their offense seems a lot more integrated. It's less one person. In other words, you don't have a player that they're relied upon. When you look at the old Lions, where Barry Sanders was on, that offense was relying on Barry Sanders.
Right.
He shouldered the load for the Detroit Lions. They didn't have the quarterback. They didn't have they might have had an okay offensive line. I would have to go back and take a look at that. But they didn't certainly have the defense. They were a poor team, and he was basically the centerpiece and the guy on that offense. Whereas Gibbs is not. You have other factors. You had Goff, who's a good quarterback, and you also have other offensive players on that team. You know, people like Laporta and so forth. So it's a lot more of an integrated offense. It's not dependent upon pure rush offense winning games. It's an integration of running with a degree of passing. So you mix that from what I've seen in my assessment. Some people might argue otherwise, but it's not like the Lions need Gibbs and their other rushers to get 100, 200 yards or they won't win games.
Right.
That's why you have your Goff.
Yeah.
Right. So, in fact, if you look at the Lions in the past couple seasons, they basically have been winning because they have someone like Jared Goff who can get touchdowns.
Absolutely.
He can win shootouts.
Yep.
So it's more of an integrated offense, and the running seems to be of a piece with the passing in that offense. One doesn't dominate over, and one isn't dependent upon, the offense isn't dependent upon the rushing simply to win games, unlike, say, in the years of Barry Sanders.
Let's shift gears to the NFC West. We have a collision course coming next week, but I want to focus first on Seattle. The Seahawks didn't play a perfect game by any stretch. 3 turnovers, 2 of which practically gift-wrapped touchdowns for Arizona. But yet they still find themselves at 7-2. Only 3 teams in football, the Colts, Broncos, and Patriots, have better records. Meanwhile, the Rams, also 7-2, have some momentum with Matthew Stafford in year 17, delivering some of the most poised football of his career. The defense looks vintage. The offense looks balanced. So, who's better? Rams or Seattle? I know we'll find out next week, but preview a little Week 11 for us.
I'll probably get another call about this, like I did with the Steelers-Colts game. A guy who hosts the show was calling me. We had an hour-long discussion about the NFL. After I said what the Steelers needed to beat the Colts. Okay, we've got probably one of the big games of the year, of the season, coming up. Rams, Seattle. Ooh, I've been waiting for this one. For at least a few weeks. I look at these two teams. The difference with this, if you look at the Seattle Buccaneers game, one of the best games of the season.
Yep.
Fantastic game. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. To all the NFL fanatics and fans out there, go watch that game. Fantastic. That was, when you look at the way those two teams went at it, it may be the same or it may be defensive. It's hard to say. The question to me is going to be defensive.
Right.
Seattle's defense scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
This past week. They got turnovers and ran into the end zone.
Right.
They scored twice. That's 14 points defensively. And they scored 35 points overall in the first half.
Yeah.
They scored more before the game ended. But in the first half, and the Rams scored 21 points in the first. They scored 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yep.
I think the question is going to be, is this going to be a defensive contest or an offensive contest? And the question is, how good will that Rams defense be in contrast to Seattle's defense? Because if Seattle's defense is now scoring,
yeah.
Oh boy. I said earlier in the season when the Packers played the Lions first and then Washington second, that defense was scary. That defense for the Packers is no longer scary. But you know what defense is scary? Seattle Seahawks. Not only are they scary, they're completely terrifying. They're terrifying. I mean, again, when you have a scoring defense now, ooh, that's horrendous. The question to me is the defense. Which defense is going to win out in that game? People are probably going to look at, oh, well, both these teams scored, and they did score, and I pointed it out. But the Seattle defense scored 2 touchdowns. What are they going to do against the Rams? And Stafford's having a great year. That offensive line for the Rams is going to have to be playing the game of their lives if they're going to win against Seattle. I mean, seriously. Because this Seattle defense is no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw him score twice, I think it was maybe the same player. Oh, man, I looked at that. I said, oh, my God, this is a scary team.
Yeah.
I called, like I said earlier in the segment, I called Seattle a hidden gem.
Yeah, you did.
They're not going to be hidden for long. And I said before, well, they're at the top. If you're going to play this team in the playoffs, ooh, you better be prepared. I look at it defensively. For Seattle to beat the Rams, they need at least a couple of turnovers. Even if they don't score 2 touchdowns like they did against, I think it was the Commanders they faced. They need at least 2 turnovers against the Rams. You gotta turn the ball over with the Rams.
Yeah.
And let me repeat that. You gotta turn the ball over because the Rams can score.
Yeah.
They scored 3 touchdowns against the 49ers, who are actually a decent team. They're beat up, but they're a decent team. They scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You can't allow the Rams to score more than 7 in the first half. Okay, maybe 14. But more than a touchdown. If they score more than a touchdown in the first half, oh, this is going to be a tough game. You got the Seahawks, in order for them to win, limit the Rams to at least a touchdown, maybe 3 field goals. You get a couple of turnovers at least. And you got to sack Stafford a couple of times. If the Seahawks are able to do all those things at least, they're going to win this game. Now, for the Rams to win, the Rams have to be able to score. They got to do what they did against the 49ers. They got to score on this game. And keep scoring. Don't let up. Keep your foot on the pedal. You get a touchdown, get another touchdown. You know, even if you get a touchdown, field goal, another touchdown, doesn't matter. Keep putting points on the board. Keep putting points on the board. That's what they've got to do. And the defense has to really have the game of their season. If the defense of the Rams isn't able to get to Darnold and get at least a couple of turnovers and completely wreck that offensive line, they're not going to be able to win. So they've got to get penetration to Darnold. They've got to score as much as possible. And they've got to be able, I think also I would add this time of possession. Rams got to hang on to the ball.
Okay.
Hang on to the ball. Those are the things that either of those teams need to do to win. But we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting from a defensive. I'm looking at defensively.
Okay. Right now, before these two teams play right now, would you say Seattle is the most complete team in the NFC?
They're near complete.
Okay.
Yeah. The Seahawks are at this point what the Colts are in the NFC.
Okay.
The Seahawks are in the NFC what the Colts are in the AFC.
Gotcha.
Except the Seahawks defense, I think, is better than the Colts defense.
Ooh. Okay. Wow. I like that. That's good. See, this is why we bring you on for the hot topics. This is the tea that everybody wants. Let's shift to the Meadowlands. The New York Jets may have found a little something to believe in again. 2 straight wins, and not just by chance, but they're playing the kind of complementary football that we're not used to seeing. And offense, defense, special teams, all doing their part. And what makes this remarkable is William McDonald V, the young defensive end whose name floated through trade rumors, responds with 4 sacks. Bryce Hall, another guy that we thought was going to leave the team, he racks up 125 total yards and a touchdown. And then Quincy Williams, also mentioned in trade talks, adds 8 tackles. So Sauce Gardner now gone. The players that we thought were going to go stick around. Is this a sign that the Jets are turning a corner and beginning to find their identity again? Or is this more of a 1-week emotional surge for a team trying to prove management wrong?
Well, if you look at the Jets last year, they started catching fire near the end of the season. Now, this is just in the mid part of the season.
Right.
But if you look at the Jets, the strange thing about them is they've actually played fairly well at times. For a bad team, they're actually not playing all that badly sometimes. They had a close game against Denver.
Yep.
People forget that.
Yeah.
They barely lost to Denver.
Barely lost to the Steelers.
The Raiders almost barely lost to Denver. And they almost, you look at the first game, they had a great game against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Barely lost to the Steelers. They had a good game against the Bengals. In fact, the Bengals couldn't stop them. When you look at that offense for the Jets, that offense was on fire. Fields was running in for 2 points. When he's running in for 2 points, because he wasn't doing a lot of that during the season, you know that this offense is cooking with grease right now. You look at this game, they had 2 special teams touchdowns?
Yeah.
They had 2 run backs for scores, which was stunning. I mean, you look at this team. you're looking at various parts of this team suddenly putting it together. Last year, they were playing better near the end of the season. Now, right now, it seems like near the middle and at the middle right now, just after the middle, they're beginning to play well.
Yeah.
How far this will go, I don't know. But the Jets had people that could. They had some talented people. Bryce Hall is a very good rusher.
Yeah.
Is a very good player. It's weird with the Jets. It's weird. This offense is pretty good, or could be pretty good. You saw it in that Bengals game. Granted, the Bengals defense sucks. They're terrible. They couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
They could not stop this team. And if you look at this game, Jets couldn't be stopped here. Count them, two special teams touchdowns, runbacks.
Yeah.
And this offense started warming up. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The Jets might win a couple of games. They might win a couple of games.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone knows they're not going anywhere.
Right.
We all know that. But, it's possible they might even win 5 games.
Yeah.
They might win 5 games. Now, would I actually put that on the table as a certainty? I don't do that.
Yeah.
People who put money on things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I just put words out there.
Yeah.
I don't put money.
Right.
I keep my money.
There you go.
But that's, I don't want to get the NBA fans all upset. But anyway, the Jets might win a couple of games.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's certainty, but you're looking at this offense beginning to wake up. Now,
Yeah.
again, consistency.
Right.
But they've already won a couple. I mean, if you look at the way they played, again, the Jets aren't horrible. They're
No.
a bad team, but they're not a horrible team.
Right.
It's interesting.
I'm going to ask this question, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for asking it, and you might get a lot of flack on how you answer it. Who is the best team? Who is the best team in the Meadowlands? Is it the Jets or the Giants?
Actually, right now I'd say it's the Jets.
Ooh. Okay.
The Giants are a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
Because they're losing personnel. You got to understand, Giants have lost a lot of. They didn't have a great team to begin with.
No.
But they lost the talent they had. They've already lost to injury.
Yeah.
And they may lose Jackson Dart at this point. We'll have to see. But the Jets actually still have their people. They don't really. I don't think the Jets have had a lot of injury.
No.
Strange, isn't it?
The biggest thing. Well, I was going to say the biggest thing really was the Sauce Gardner trade. I don't think too many people saw that coming. I know I didn't. Maybe you did. I don't know. But that was, I think that's really, other than that, there's been no big shifts on the Jets. Justin Fields is their guy. They're going to write him out, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Jets, for the most part, I think have been healthy.
Yeah.
So, and you look at the Giants, they have been healthy. And more importantly, the Jets haven't lost catastrophically.
No.
The way that the Giants have.
Yeah.
The Giants had 2 games that are catastrophic losses.
Yeah.
This game to the Bears, granted, less points. It's not, they weren't leading by 20 points, they're only leading by 10.
Yeah.
But they actually did a good job through about 2 to 3 quarters of play, and then they collapsed in the 4th quarter. I'm not exaggerating that. It's a collapse. You look at that sack, did Russell Wilson, followed by, later on, by the punt that was complete. That was horrible. It only lasted over 20 yards, and it didn't go anywhere, giving Chicago great field advantage there. or at least good field advantage, and they ran with it. When you have two losses like that, it doesn't, regardless of the personnel that you've lost, the Giants can't win the games that they could easily or possibly win.
Right.
The Jets are winning games that no one is expecting them to win. Even against the Bengals, they weren't expected to win.
Right.
And I don't think they were expected to win this game.
No.
I didn't see the line. I don't remember the line, but I don't think they were expecting. The Jets are a better team. The Jets are a better team.
Okay. Let's finish this conversation in Indianapolis. The Colts are putting up numbers that would make any offense coordinator grin. More than 800 yards combined in their past two games against the Steelers and Falcons. On paper, this is still the number one offense in football, but as you know, football isn't played on paper. For all that production, the little things, penalties, blitzes, pickups, protection lapses, have begun to creep in. 2 straight weeks of uncharacteristic mistakes. Now they've managed to overcome them thanks to Jonathan Taylor's masterpiece on Sunday, 244 yards and 3 touchdowns, the best single-game rushing performance we've seen in the league this season, with a trip to Kansas City on the other side. Those details suddenly matter a whole lot more. And how about the debut of Sauce Gardner in a Colts uniform? I mean, the man is terrific wherever he goes. So, can the Colts clean up the sloppiness and truly solidify themselves as a championship caliber team?
Well, right now you're seeing a little sloppiness.
Yeah.
And what's happened is the Colts are being brought down to earth.
Okay.
They had that devastating loss to the Steelers.
Right.
And this game against Atlanta was far closer than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta played a really good game. And Atlanta's a weird team.
Yeah.
They played the Bills extremely well and beat them soundly. And they were doing a good job. Atlanta's use of the run was excellent here. I liked what they did with their run plays. And their the run game here, the run offense. I had said before, in regards to the Colts, that they needed both Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, and that if Jonathan Taylor were injured, at least if they had Daniel Jones, they'd at least be able to get through the playoffs. I would say at this point, although Daniel Jones is important, the indispensable player on this team has become Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I think he's the important player. This was the game that proved it.
Okay.
Because he won this game with his touchdown in overtime. His rushing in and getting that touchdown. He won that game. He is clearly the player in that offense. That is just the most important. Not by, you still got Daniel Jones there, but he just outflanks Daniel Jones and outranks him. And this game against Atlanta was the reason why. If you wanted demonstration of proof.
Yeah.
If Jonathan Taylor is healthy and he manages to last the rest of the season and they're able to, fortify that offensive line and they're able to at least win close games. They got to win close games too. They were able to do it. The Cardinals played a good game against the Colts. Played a good game against them. And they got by. If they're able to win close games, there's no telling what this team can do. They're easily the best team in the AFC. And they've demonstrated that they can at least take on some good teams. And if they lose to some good teams, they lost to the Rams, they beat the Chargers. So they can beat a good team or two. So, again, I think the Colts are the team everybody's got to look out for in the AFC. Again, all the teams are flawed in the AFC.
Yeah.
It's not like the NFC. You look at the teams in the NFC; those teams are solid. You gotta just beat them to win. You gotta beat them.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be just gonna easily win. You gotta beat them to win.
Right.
You gotta find a way to beat them. In the AFC, I don't think that's the case as much. In this game, it was. I mean, they had to beat. It's funny. Atlanta gave New England Patriots a hard time. The Patriots barely beat the Falcons. So it's interesting. They're a weird team, the Falcons. But the Colts right now, Jonathan Taylor is the guy. So I've had to, again, upon further review, you got to hope he doesn't get carried away on one of those.
Gotcha.
And out for the season.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor is the player, just edging out Daniel Jones. He's the player for the Colts. And he won that game for him. I don't care what anyone has to say. He won that game for them. Yeah. He won that game for them.
Yeah. Want to talk about Sauce Gardner for a moment, this blockbuster trade that, like I said, I didn't see coming. I don't think really too many did. How has that elevated the Colts defense and will continue to elevate the Colts defense? Or no change at all?
Well, it's always good if you can add someone who's a DB. I'm more of an offensive line prophet.
Yeah.
I don't know where I get the term prophet. But I'm more of a offensive line advocate than defensive line. Because I think that if you have a good enough offensive line, you can keep people like Sauce Gardner out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But it really is a matter of insurance. When you get people like that, when you look at that team at this point, they're getting insurance.
Yeah.
Because they're going, we have a really good player on our team. This gives us an opportunity should we get to the playoffs. That's normally what you try to do, is you try to get what I call, I don't know if I could call this, you try to get player insurance, meaning you're bringing in a player to ensure you got somebody who can make some plays that will help you possibly win games.
Yeah.
That has you covered. And that's what he is. He's insurance.
Okay.
The question is, we'll see how well he does down the stretch, but I think they see it in terms of insurance.
Okay. Colts have a bye next week, and then it's off to Kansas City. What do they need to do in preparation for this Chiefs team that's kind of gotten back on track?
Figure that would come up. What do the Colts need?
Yeah, if you're the Colts, you have a bye here. If you're the Colts, you have a bye coming up this week, and then it's on to Kansas City. If you're the Colts, what are you telling yourselves? Hey, we got to clean this up so we can beat the Chiefs.
First and foremost, you got to penetrate the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. You got to go after Mahomes. You need to get turnovers. If the Colts are going to win, the first thing they need to be able to do, they need to get to Mahomes. They need at least a couple sacks. They need turnovers. You need at least, I hate to be this specific, but you need a pick six or something. Even if you can get a fumble, get whatever. You need turnovers. Don't allow and because you can't allow the Chiefs to score, at least score consistently.
Yeah.
Holding the field goals, if they get field goals on, great, do that. You don't want them to start getting touchdowns because then that's going to be an issue.
Right.
Offensively, Jonathan Taylor, you got to have that run. Don't do what they did against the Steelers. Don't give Jonathan Taylor only a few carries and then go, that's it.
Right.
Thanks, Jonathan.
And turn it over 6 times.
No. Again, what I said in that game with Atlanta,
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor won that game. I don't care what anyone says. He won
I
that
agree.
game for him. He's
agree.
got an offense. He's got to at least have 20 carries. Even if it's not 100 yards, it doesn't matter. You got to get him to pick up some first downs, maybe even a 25, 30-yard run or something like that. He's got to have enough going on that you wear down that defensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. So you got to have a good run game. You've got to be able to get to Mahomes, sack him, get turnovers. Most important, don't let the Chiefs score as much. If you can hold on the field goals, great. On the other end of the line with the Chiefs, score.
Yeah.
You got one touchdown. Score early and often. Seriously, they need to see. They need to try. If they're going to beat the Colts, they got to try to get at least over 20 points.
Yeah.
You need at least 3 or 4 touchdowns. Because that's what they couldn't do against the Bills. That's what the Bills did. They outscored the Chiefs. Chiefs came back, but just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
That's what they got to do against the Colts. You got one, score as often as possible. Every series get a touchdown. Even if you get a field goal after a touchdown, get some points on the board. Keep scoring. Don't let up. Also, defense has got to have the game. You got to stop that run. I don't know how you're going to stop it, but you got to stop that run.
Yeah.
You can't allow Jonathan Taylor to get 100 yards. You can't allow Jonathan Taylor to get 75 yards.
Right.
You got to stop that run. Get to Daniel Jones, get him to make bad throws, and get turnovers. The main thing is not only just get to Daniel Jones, sack him. You want to get him to make bad throws. You want him to make poor choices in terms of pass attempts. That's what you want.
Okay.
So, again, score as much as possible. You want to be able to get Daniel Jones to make bad decisions in the passing game. Also, you want to be able to stop that run. Can't allow Jonathan Taylor to have a big game. So that's what has to happen in that Colts-Chiefs game.
Okay. Where do we go to listen to the Wise Guys Show?
The Wise Guys Show can be found on my YouTube channel, which is Ryder Albert Lanier 3434. That's the formal thing, at Ryder Albert Lanier 3434, or Ryder Albert Lanier. If you just want to look it up, you can go to that channel, my official channel, to watch the Wise Guys Show. Week 10's already out, so you can check that episode out.
Perfect. He's Albert Lanier. We look to see him again next week. A lot of big games coming up in the future, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. So anyway, thank you. Take care. Enjoy your day.
And from the NFL to Major League Baseball, and this is a fire alarm for Major League Baseball. I don't care how they try to spin it. So here's what we got. 2 pitchers, 2 active pitchers from the Cleveland Guardians, Emmanuel Class and Luis Ortiz, indicted in federal court. Not for PEDs, not for domestic stuff, no, for rigging pitches for gamblers. You heard me. Rigging pitches, taking bribes, throwing certain pitches, balls in the dirt, slow heaters, so some guys in the Dominican Republic could cash in on pitch level bets. And they made what? $460 grand off it. That's what the indictment says. Now let me stop right there. This isn't some barstool rumor. This is the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. This is wire fraud, money laundering, honest service fraud. This is serious. This is federal. And if it's true, these guys are done, finished. We'll never see a mound again. And what does the Major League Baseball do? They come out the next day and say, oh, we're going to cap pitch level bets at $200 and ban them from parlays. Like that's going to fix it. Like that's the problem. Folks, the problem isn't the limit. The problem is that you've opened the door to this nonsense in the first place. Let me ask you something. Who in their right mind thought it was a good idea to let people bet on individual pitches? Not games, not innings, pitches. You're telling me a guy can bet on whether the next pitch is a ball or a strike? Whether it hits 94 or 96 on the gun? That's not betting, that's a setup. That's a trap. That's a gambler's dream and a league's nightmare. And now we're seeing the consequences. You got two pitchers already taking bribes. You got sports books scrambling to cover their tracks. You got the MLB trying to act like they're in control. They're not. They've lost control the moment they got in bed with the gambling industry, like the NFL and the NBA and the NCAA. And listen, I'm not naive. I know the money's huge. I know the Supreme Court opened the floodgates in 2018. I know every league's got a gaming partner. But there's a line. There's a line between monetizing the game and compromising its integrity. In pitch-level betting, that crosses a line. You think Pete Rose is mad now? You think Shoeless Joe's ghost ain't pacing in some cornfield? This is worse. This is active players allegedly manipulating outcomes for gamblers, and not even to win games. Not to throw games, just to throw pitches. That's how granular it is. And here's a kicker. MLB says this new cap, this $200 limit, is going to mitigate the risk. Please. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You think a guy willing to throw a pitch for a bribe is going to stop because the payout's a little smaller? Come on. You think the mob cares about a parlay ban? Don't even get me started on the NBA angle. You got Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier caught up in some poker ring with the mafia. What is this, a Scorsese movie? What's next? LeBron running numbers out of the locker room? Folks, this is the dark side of legalized betting. This is what happens when you turn every moment of a game into a camaraderie. You know, I went back Friday night, and we'll go back to listen to Friday night's episode. We got NCAA college students throwing games and point shaving and all this stuff. It's reached the college kids because they think it's okay. They're watching the pros do it, and they think it's okay because when you let people bet on whether the next pitch is a curveball in the dirt, you invite corruption and you invite scandal. And now it's here. And I'll tell you this, if these charges stick, if Clayson Ortiz are guilty, the MLB better come down hard. I'm talking lifetime bans. I'm talking scorched earth, because if you don't send a message now, you're going to have 100 more cases in 5 years. And the game's going to be unrecognizable. Let's shift gears. I've been around the Olympics for a while, and I've seen rule changes, I've seen controversies, and I've seen the Olympics evolve. But this right here is a moment of clarity, a moment of truth. The International Olympic Committee finally stepping up and saying we need to protect women's sports. And folks, I'm telling you, it's the only way forward. Now listen, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care what hashtags you follow. This is not about politics. This is about fairness. This is about biology. This is about protecting the integrity of competition. You got athletes who train their whole lives, biological women, who are now being asked to compete against individuals who were born male, who retain physical advantages even after hormone therapy. That's not speculation. That's not opinion. That's science. The International Olympic Committee's own medical director laid it out clear, clinical, unemotional. And let me tell you something else. This isn't just about transgender athletes. This new policy, it also is going to cover athletes with differences of sex development, DSD. That's a whole other layer. You had Olympic boxing matches where gold medals were won by athletes who failed gender tests. Algeria's Khalif, Taiwan's Lin Yuting, controversy swirling, and the governing bodies didn't know what to do. Okay, now World Boxing is doing their own mandatory testing The International Olympic Committee is about to follow suit, and you know why? Because the public's fed up. The athletes are fed up, and the federations are finally waking up. Christy Conventry, the new International Olympic Committee president, she's not messing around. She said it herself. Protecting the female category is priority number one. And she's got an overwhelming support from IOC members. This isn't fringe. This isn't radical. This is the Olympic movement saying we need a level playing field. Period. Now, I know what's coming. The backlash, the think pieces, the social media firestorm, the woke left agenda. But let me ask you, what's the alternative? You keep letting biological males compete in women's events? You keep watching records fall, medals shift, careers end? That's not inclusion. That's an eraser. That's disrespect to every woman who ever laced up, trained, sacrificed, and dreamed of Olympic glory. And don't give me the each sport should decide. That's what the IOC used to say. That's how we got this mess. Conventry's saying no more. We need a unified policy. We need science-based rules. And we need them before Milan Cortina 2026, not after, not when the damage is done. So here's the bottom line. You want to protect women's sports, you want fairness, you want credibility, then this policy needs to happen. It's not exclusion, it's preservation. It's not hate, it's honor. And if you can't see that, then you're not watching the same games I've been watching for the last 20 years. It's that simple. So thank you, Mrs. IOC President, for finally stepping up for women's sports. Here's what's trending in sports. Men's college basketball top 25. Number 3, UConn taking on Columbia. Solo Ball had 23 points, and the Huskies won at 89-62. Iowa State, ranked number 16, taking on Mississippi State. They won at 96-80, thanks to Lipsy's 25.6 assists and 3 steals. 15th ranked UCLA hosting West Georgia. Perry had 17 points, 9 assists for the Bruins, and they won at 83-62. That's what's trending in sports. Here is tonight's final thought. Well, New York Giants fans, we've reached a crossroads. Brian Daboll, once hailed as the coach who would turn this storied franchise around, is out after a 2-8 start and a heartbreaking 24-20 loss in Chicago. Mike Kafka steps in as the interim head coach, tasked with navigating a roster riddled with injuries and a quarterback carousel that seems to change week to week. Daboll's tenure started with promise. He took this team to the playoffs in his first season and was named Coach of the Year. But promises doesn't win games. Execution does. And over the last 3 seasons, that execution has been inconsistent. A .336 winning percentage that ranks among the lowest in the league for coaches with at least 50 games. Blown leads, injuries, rookie quarterbacks thrust into the fire. These are the realities of a team that has struggled to find its footing. Ownership has shown patience, keeping general manager Joe Scowen in place, signaling that this is about coaching, not the roster. Maria and Tisch acknowledged the fans' frustrations and their right to do so. The Giants fans deserve better than near misses and heartbreaks. Now the question is, can Kafka steady the ship? Can he inspire a team that has lost confidence and momentum? Or is this just another chapter in the Giants' recent history of unmet expectations? One thing is certain. The Giants' next coach must not just promise improvement. They must deliver. And for Brian Daboll, this is not the end. He's a talented offensive mind who will surely find another opportunity in this league. But for the Giants, the clock is ticking, and patience is running out. That'll do it for me on this Monday night. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting. Thank you for your time.